In Japan, Yakuza leader Oyabun sits in a dimly lit room. He is disappointed with 3 kneeling men. As punishment, they must lose a finger. Oyabun places a cloth-wrapped knife on the table. Joe and another man sweat heavily as they cut their fingers. The third man grabs the blade, but hides his pinky. He strikes the wooden board and screams, pretending to cut it. Oyabun does not fall for the trick. He quickly draws a sword and decapitates the lying man. Blood splatters on the paper doors. Oyabun then orders Joe to go to Normal, Minnesota. 3 weeks later, Ulysses is staying at a snowy motel in Normal. He drinks from a white mug inside his room. Sheriff Gunderson recently passed away. Ulysses is here for an 8-week interim job. He will act as sheriff until the town elects a new one. Deputy Mike picks him up in a police cruiser. They leave for the station together. Normal looks like a very peaceful town. There isn't much for Ulysses to do. During the quiet drive, Ulysses leaves a voicemail for his wife. They are separated and agreed to give each other space. He still calls to keep her updated on his life. Ulysses spots a large construction banner along the road. It features a giant red thermometer graphic. The sign announces that $16.8 million have been raised. Ulysses stares at the number in disbelief. He is surprised that this little community gathered so much money. Inside the station, Tom acts very aggressively toward receptionist Sally. Ulysses steps forward and firmly commands the man to stop. Tom complains about a neighbor, so Deputy Blaine agrees to handle the dispute. Later, Ulysses sits in a dark office managing stacks of paperwork. His curiosity grows, so he pulls Gunderson's file from a cabinet. The death certificate reveals the former sheriff died from acute hypothermia. Ulysses then discovers a shiny silver handgun engraved with the words, "From Dad." He removes the magazine and catches the final bullet in his hand. He boxes the empty weapon and locks it inside an evidence cage. Afterward, Ulysses drinks coffee inside the station's heavily stocked armory. He spots several brown packages labeled as high explosive C4. Sally enters to refill his mug, and he asks about the explosives. She explains that Gunderson applied for every anti-terrorism grant available after 9/11. In the afternoon, Ulysses patrols the town and leaves a yellow ticket on a parked car. Bartender Moira rushes outside and curses as she grabs the paper. She calms down quickly when she reads the handwritten note. The ticket only says, "Park better," in large letters. That evening, Ulysses visits a restaurant and notices several rifles hanging on the walls. The owner explains that his grandfather collected the weapons. Ulysses asks if the guns are loaded, and the owner confirms they are. Nearby, a television broadcasts a breaking weather report about upcoming blizzard conditions. At another table, Ulysses hears a man named Joe complaining. Joe sits with his back turned and curses about the Minnesota weather. Later that night, Ulysses has a dark dream about gunshots and a screaming woman. He wakes up suddenly with a gasp and grabs his handgun. He steps outside and spots bright red stains across the snow. Ulysses holds his weapon ready and carefully follows the red trail. He peeks around the corner into the motel parking lot. A large moose stands quietly with a paint can stuck on its antler. Ulysses realizes the moose accidentally spilled the red paint. Sometime later, Ulysses and Mike enter the hardware store. Owner Maynard is loudly arguing with a client over prices. The cops separate them, and Ulysses firmly asks for calm. The 2 men immediately start shouting at each other again. Mike yells to stop them and escorts the client outside. Ulysses notices a gray metal cabinet secured with heavy locks. Maynard claims it just contains old-school stump removers. Ulysses asks what that means, but Maynard refuses to explain. Suddenly, Mary Beth knocks on the glass to get Ulysses' attention. She drags him into her nearby yarn shop to complain. A supplier recently sent her the wrong color of yarn. Ulysses hears a radio and spots her active police scanner. Mary Beth claims she is lonely, but Mike calls her nosy. A memorial takes place at Gunderson's massive brick mansion. Ulysses sees the fancy home and wonders how a sheriff afforded it. Inside, Mayor Kibner gives a speech next to Gunderson's framed portrait. In the kitchen, Mike pulls out a gold sheriff's star. He admits he stole the badge off the corpse before the casket closed. Mike then pins the star into Ulysses' uniform shirt. Later, Ulysses wanders into a dark office filled with liquor bottles. He spots a photograph pinned to a desk map. The picture shows Gunderson golfing with Walter, the doctor who signed his death certificate. Walter walks into the office and pours them some Irish whiskey. Ulysses takes his cup and asks about Gunderson's death certificate. Walter says Deputy Blaine found Gunderson out back around 3 in the morning. He was frozen solid in his underwear. Walter theorizes that the dead sheriff was going ice fishing. Ulysses quickly points out that nobody ice fishes naked at night. Walter just gestures toward the many liquor bottles, implying Gunderson was a heavy drinker. Suddenly, Mayor Kibner steps into the room holding a glass. He interrupts their chat and sends Walter away for privacy. Kibner mentions he heard Ulysses is very relaxed with the town rules. He likes that laid-back style and offers Ulysses the permanent sheriff position. He tells Ulysses to take some time to think about it. After Kibner leaves, Ulysses stares out the large window. Outside, he sees Deputy Blaine arguing with Gunderson's only child Alex. She wears an army jacket and tries to push past the deputy. Blaine physically blocks her from entering the memorial and sends her away. Later that night, Ulysses walks into a dimly lit place called Ernie's Bar. He approaches Moira, a woman wearing overalls, by the pool table. She holds a pool cue and asks if he wants a game. Ulysses declines the offer and admits his hands are too shaky. He then asks Moira if she knew Sheriff Gunderson well. Moira says she did and feels sad about his sudden death. She quickly racks the pool balls and the blue felt. Soon, they sit down across from each other at a round table. 2 brown beer bottles sit on the table between them. Ulysses takes a sip of his drink and starts sharing his past. He explains he used to be a regular sheriff in a nice county. He married his high school sweetheart and felt very proud of his life. Ulysses then mentions a young girl from his old town. Her father was an upstanding citizen, but he secretly abused her. Ulysses looks down and confesses that he did not believe the girl's accusations. Neighbors soon heard gunshots at the woman's house. Ulysses rushed inside and saw her standing over her wounded father. She ignored Ulysses and shot the man in the head. Then she aimed her gun at Ulysses. They both fired, but Ulysses had better aim and killed her. Ulysses became depressed after this self-defense shooting. His wife left him, and she ignores his phone calls. This traumatic memory still haunts his sweaty dreams. The next morning, Ulysses wakes up gasping in bed. A voicemail from Kibner urges him to accept the sheriff job. Outside, Ulysses spots Lori struggling with a vending machine. He walks over to offer his help. Lori quickly hides a handgun behind her back. A dog runs up and Lori introduces her as Olive. Ulysses acts friendly, but he notices a man by an RV. The man refuses to step closer to them. After a dull day of stamping paperwork, Ulysses drives his cruiser through the dark. He soon spots a snow-covered van parked by the road. He pulls over and finds Alex inside with a bottled bourbon. Ulysses asks to join them and climbs into the passenger seat. He quickly notices Alex's hand resting on a handgun. Ulysses takes a sip of the liquor and asks about the earlier argument with Blaine. Alex stares out the window and explains that Kibner did not want them at the memorial. The mayor thought their presence would be a big distraction. The town had discriminated against them after they came out as non-binary. Alex claims the town used to know right from wrong before Kibner arrived. Sadly, their father chose the town over his own child. Ulysses gently takes the gun and removes the ammunition. He then drives Alex to the empty police station. Ulysses leads them into a holding cell with a small bed. Alex sits down, and Ulysses locks the heavy door for the night. An alarm starts wailing loudly inside the police station. Everyone is shocked to see the bank indicator flashing red. Meanwhile, Lori and Keith threaten the bank clients with guns. A terrified manager puts all the money into a bag. Lori gets angry when she sees only around $2,000. A clerk explains that nobody uses cash anymore. Keith wants more money from the bank vault. The clerk hesitates and glances at the 2 security guards. These guards are Joe and his Yakuza friend. Suddenly, a client on the floor has a heart attack. He pulls a small medicine bottle from his pocket. Lori and Keith help him swallow the medicine. The man stops breathing, so Keith begins doing chest compressions. While Keith works, the guards secretly dial an emergency number. In Japan, Oyabun's men hear an alarm beeping. It comes from a pager labeled for Normal, Minnesota. Suddenly, Joe pulls a knife and stabs Keith. A furious Lori raises her handgun and opens fire. A bullet wounds Keith right in the neck. Another bullet hits the Yakuza guard in the face. The guard shoots Joe while falling backward. The blast sends Joe flying into another room. Lori rushes to Keith's side and cries in panic. He assures her the bullet just nicked him. He asks her to keep going with the plan. At that moment, police cars arrive outside the bank. The deputies look extremely nervous out in the snowstorm. Ulysses tells them to wait before walking toward the bank. Suddenly, Blaine answers a phone call and listens closely. Ulysses reaches out to open the glass doors. Without warning, Blaine and Mike aim their rifles and open fire. The shattered glass pushes Ulysses backward onto the floor. He survives the sudden ambush thanks to his bulletproof vest. Ulysses yells at them to stop, but he is ignored. He pulls his handgun and fires back at the deputies. A well-aimed bullet blows a chunk off Blaine's ear. Ulysses starts crawling across the floor for better cover. Mike fires his rifle wildly through the bank windows. He shoots everywhere without caring about the terrified civilians. Ulysses gestures for Lori and Keith to keep moving. He grabs the sick man to pull him to safety. Suddenly, a stray bullet hits the sick man in the head. Ulysses scrambles to hide behind the counter with the thieves. Mike finally stops shooting his weapon from the parking lot. Outside, Blaine scoops up a handful of cold snow. He presses the snow tightly against his bleeding ear. Ulysses spots the terrified bank manager holding up his bloody hands. He points his gun and forces him to open the vault. Inside, Ulysses and the robbers are completely shocked. A massive pile of gold bars, cash, and dark crates fills the room. The manager uses this distraction to quietly sneak away. He sprints to his desk and grabs a silver revolver from a drawer. Suddenly, he trips over a body on the floor. The fall makes his gun fire and he accidentally shoots himself in the head. In another room, the guard Joe slowly wakes up. His black security vest caught the bullet bullet and saved his life. Meanwhile, Mike tries to open a locked back door in the falling snow. Ulysses hears the rattling handle and shoots through the metal door. The blast scares Mike, forcing him to fall back and leave. Inside the vault, Lori lifts Keith's sweater and discovers a bullet wound on his back. Ulysses hurries inside, and the three of them quickly agree to work together. A desk phone rings loudly, so Ulysses walks into the office to answer it. Kibner speaks from outside, surrounded by armed cops in the freezing winter blizzard. Meanwhile, Keith breaks open a wooden crate and uncovers several dangerous military weapons. On the phone, Kibner explains the small town's dark secret. Many small towns have completely died off or descended into poverty. To prevent this, Normal struck a secret deal with the Yakuza. The criminals move their illegal contraband through the USA using the local bank. Storing this illegal contraband keeps the small town very wealthy. Most citizens have quietly agreed to this highly corrupt community plan. Kibner picked Ulysses as sheriff due to his reputation for never caring about anything. The Yakuza will murder the entire town if they discover the bank robbery. Kibner orders Ulysses to kill the robbers or die alongside them. Ulysses silently hangs up the phone without giving his boss an answer. He returns to the vault to check on the couple's shocking weapons discovery. Outside, a large moose walks across the snowy road. Kibner is distracted by the animal. Suddenly, the power goes out in the entire town. A projectile then hits Kibner and instantly blows him up. Inside, Ulysses holds a grenade launcher and admits his aim failed. The trio approaches the front doors to make their escape. Ulysses shoots again and blows up a police car. Huge orange flames erupt into the dark, snowy night. The panicked cops dive to avoid the roaring fire. Ulysses, Lori, and Keith fire regular guns and run away. The surviving cops slowly recover from the sudden ambush. Tom angrily complains about the town and tries to leave. Joe immediately shoots him down with a handgun. The storm has brought down all the telephone lines. Joe cannot contact Oyabun to explain the situation. Oyabun is already traveling there because he thinks his bank was raided. Meanwhile, Ulysses and the couple run down a freezing street. A cop suddenly spots them and opens fire. Ulysses tells the couple to hide behind snow-covered cars. He shoots back from his cover and kills the cop. Lori and Keith take cover inside a dark yarn store. Lori hears a noise while crouching on the floor. Soon, Ulysses rushes through the front door. An older woman named Mary Beth steps out of the shadows. She acts friendly and offers help. Ulysses checks a radio sitting on a table. A voice suddenly orders Maribeth to stop the fugitives. Maribeth instantly raises a double-barreled shotgun and fires. The sheriff dives behind a wooden drawer for cover. The blast shatters a door, letting cold snow blow inside. Maribeth calmly loads 2 red shells into her weapon. She aims and fires again. Lori lifts her rifle and shoots back from the floor. This forces Maribeth to duck and keeps her distracted. Ulysses pushes a tall yarn shell forward. The furniture crashes down and traps Maribeth. Lori charges forward and tackles the woman to the ground. Maribeth reaches into a leather holster and pulls a revolver. She fires a wild shot during the struggle. Lori desperately grabs a long white knitting needle. She stabs Maribeth, finally killing her. Ulysses then opens a green first aid kit. He wraps white tape around Keith's wounded shoulder. Ulysses suggests stealing a snowplow from the police station. The 3 survivors agree and step into the blizzard. The armed mailman spots the trio outside and opens fire. The shots blast Ulysses backward through a hardware store window. An alarm rings loudly as Ulysses pats his bulletproof vest. He shouts for Lori and Keith to run, so the mailman chases them. Inside the dark store, a man named Maynard attacks Ulysses with a crowbar. His wild swing shatters a pipe, soaking them both in spraying water. Ulysses grabs a nearby shovel to defend himself during the fight. Soon, Maynard pulls a sharp axe from a wall display. Ulysses quickly sprays bug poison in his face to stop him. He then grabs a nail and stabs Maynard in the eye. The wounded man stumbles away to unlock a metal cabinet. Ulysses strikes him hard from behind with a wooden handle. Maynard's head violently slams against the solid cabinet door. This heavy impact drives the nail deeper, killing him instantly. Ulysses then opens the cabinet, discovering road flares and dynamite inside. On the snowy street, Lori and Keith hide behind a white car. The mailman chases them and shoots his revolvers. His weapons soon click empty. He kneels behind a snowbank to reload. Keith pulls a gold brick from his bag. He charges forward and strikes the mailman's head. A struggle begins in the snow. Lori jumps in to help Keith. During the fight, the mailman's gun fires upward. The bullet severs a line holding a large sign. Keith eventually disarms him. However, the mailman fiercely pushes Lori back. She falls and hurts her shoulder. He then punches Keith to knock him away. The mailman pulls out a knife and approaches Lori. Keith quickly grabs the dropped gun, but it lacks ammo. Suddenly, the heavy sign falls onto the mailman and crushes him instantly. Police arrive in the snowstorm, forcing the robbers to flee. A sparking stick drops onto the snowy street. A priest picks it up and calls it a harmless flare. More sparking sticks fall from the roof. The men ignore them until a blast throws them backward. Ulysses is tricking the group with lit dynamite. Deputy Mike grabs another explosive from the snow. He bites off the burning fuse to extinguish it. Mike smiles and proudly calls himself a hero. The dynamite suddenly detonates right in his hands. Ulysses keeps tossing explosives into the street. Soon the whole team lies motionless in the snow. At the police station garage, Keith and Lori manage to start the large snowplow. Sally hears the engine and steps inside, aiming a rifle. Ulysses suddenly tackles her, and they struggle over the weapon. Sally trips backward over a thick cable and falls to the floor. She lands directly beneath a raised police car. Ulysses pulls a lever, and the vehicle drops down, completely crushing her. Afterward, Ulysses speaks to the couple through the open window. He says he is tired of running away from his problems. He urges them to leave and start a new life with the gold. Ulysses presses a button to open the garage, and the couple drives away. The armed men quickly walk toward the nearby police station. Meanwhile, Keith and Lori stop their snowplow on the snowy road. Lori reaches out to pull a stray dog into the cab. The couple then drives the snowplow away into the dark storm. Back inside the station, Ulysses straps on a black bulletproof vest, armed with a shotgun. He walks toward the dark holding cells. Suddenly, a loud shotgun blast hits him directly in the chest. The powerful impact throws Ulysses hard against the concrete wall. His heavy weapon falls as he slumps down to the floor. Moira steps out of the shadows holding a large shotgun. She confidently confiscates the pistol directly from his police belt. The injured man drinks heavily from a small metal flask. Moira sits down to claim Ulysses lied about his past. She reveals that Ulysses actually killed the young girl's father. A flashback shows a girl pointing a gun at a kneeling man. Ulysses quickly shoots the kneeling man right in the head. Moira explains that Gunderson missed his kid and wanted to leave town, but the Yakuza never let anyone walk away. Moira reveals she dropped a sedative into Gunderson's drink. She dragged his body outside to freeze in the snow. Suddenly, a furious Alex throws a belt through the cell bars. The metal buckle loops securely around Moira's shotgun. Alex pulls hard and drags Moira against the steel cage. Alex steals Moira's pistol and shoots her several times as revenge. Moira collapses lifelessly onto the floor. Ulysses takes out a shiny silver pistol with engraved words. He hands Gunderson's old gun to Alex and names them his new deputy. The armed deputies approach the garage during a heavy blizzard. Suddenly, a large armored truck turns on its bright headlights. Alex drives the truck and crashes through the closed garage door. The deputies scatter in panic, but Walter is run over and killed. Joe watches the vehicle speed away and realizes Alex is targeting the bank. Alex smashes the truck straight through the bank's glass front doors. Inside, Alex rushes into the vault and straps C4 explosives near stacks of money. Ulysses speaks over a walkie-talkie while resting against a dark wall. He warns the team that the vault will blow up if he dies. However, Ulysses also offers them a deal to survive. The deputies find Ulysses casually drinking a milkshake at a neon-lit ice cream shop. He proposes making the bank damage look like a simple car accident. Joe glares at Ulysses and asks why he shouldn't just shoot him. Ulysses warns that the Yakuza will execute everyone in town if their money disappears. Joe has no choice and quietly agrees to the truce. Outside, townspeople quickly shovel snow to hide a dead hand and clean the streets. Ulysses and Blaine wait by their police cars on a freezing road. Ulysses calmly sips his coffee before the black Yakuza convoy arrives. Blaine walks up to the lead SUV window. He tells Oyabun that a severe storm knocked out their power. He introduces Ulysses as the new interim sheriff who knows nothing. Ulysses acts completely innocent and says nobody can enter the town. Oyabun glares from the back seat and speaks angrily. Ulysses quickly pretends to back down and makes an exception for him. The police cars lead the convoy down a very long highway to buy time. They finally reach the damaged bank. Inside, Alex wears a security uniform and hides a detonator behind her back. Oyabun walks straight into the vault to check the gold bars. He confirms everything is perfectly fine and looks happy. Tops take the Yakuza to a tiki-themed restaurant for dinner. Blaine stands up and gives a long speech about their friendship. A bartender uncorks champagne, and the flying cork strikes a stuffed deer head. The decoration falls, knocking a loaded shotgun onto the floor. The weapon accidentally fires and completely blows off Oyabun's head. The Yakuza immediately pull out their hidden weapons for revenge. A chaotic firefight erupts as people dive behind flipped tables. During the chaos, Joe shoots Blaine directly in the shoulder. As Joe steps forward, Ulysses tackles him into to the nearby kitchen. They fight fiercely, using food and various scattered kitchen utensils. Ulysses swings a meat mallet during their violent physical struggle. Finally, Joe manages to stab Ulysses deep in the stomach. Ulysses fights back and breaks Joe's wrist. He stabs Joe in the neck, killing him on the kitchen floor. In the wrecked restaurant, Alex crouches behind a booth. She provides backup as the chaotic shootout continues. Bodies drop until Alex and Blaine are left as survivors. Ulysses walks out of the kitchen holding a whole pie. He offers everyone a slice. Sitting on the floor, Ulysses unpins his badge and hands it to Blaine. 1 month later, the town of Normal is peaceful again. Blaine is the new official sheriff. Outside, a mysterious man in sunglasses indicates the danger remains. In Texas, Ulysses starts another interim sheriff job. Alex walks along a sunny beach as his new deputy. Ulysses calls his wife to share the update. As he leaves a voice message, she finally answers the line. Thanks for watching.